So I did Smolov Jr. on my bench press, and I am a little bit shocked at the results. Let's see what happened. So, for those of you that don't know, Smolov Jr. is a Russian-based program that is quite high volume, quite torturous. It's 4 days a week. It starts out at 6 sets of 6 at 70%. And then the next session is 7 sets of 5 at 75%. And then the following session after that is 8 sets of 4 at 80%. And then the final session of the week is 10 sets of 3, all at 85%. And the program runs for 3 weeks. You add 5 to 10 pounds, or for us in the UK, 2.5 to 5 kilos each week for those following 2 weeks. So you'll be 70% plus 5 kilos, 70% plus 10 kilos over those 3 weeks. And the same applied to every other percentage. So let's jump in and have a look at week number 1, see how that went. So week 1, for me, everything was based on my 1 rep max, which at the start of this program was 147.5. So week number 1 consisted of 6 sets of 6 at 105, 7 sets of 5 at 112.5, 8 sets of 4 at 120, and 10 sets of 3 at 127.5. Now, I have done all these weights for this amount of reps roughly, and more. Especially at the end, the threes is something I've done a lot of, and I've done more than I've done 10 kilos more than that for 3 before. So the week started out quite easy. I think every session was quite somewhat easy, but I think the last 2 sets, or depending on as the week went on, it was kind of 1 set in the 6s, couple sets on the 5s, maybe 3 sets on the 4s, and maybe 4 or so sets on the 3s. The sets were really challenging. They're really quite grindy on the end reps, which quite surprised me. I expected week 1 to be very easy, and for the most part, it was quite straightforward, but it just became quite grindy towards the end of most of the reps. But week number 2 was pretty much more of the same. So week number 2 was 110 for the 6 sets of 6, followed by 117.5 for the 7 sets of 5. It was then up to 125 for the 8 sets of 4 and 132.5 for the 10 sets of 3. Now, I'd say I was expecting, after how week 1 felt and how tough the sets got towards the end, I was expecting week number 2 to be a lot more challenging than it was, but it kind of just felt, in all honesty, exactly the same. The difficulty level felt exactly the same. The sets felt easy at the start and a little bit tough towards the end. So again, you'll see this now playing behind me, but it just ultimately felt rinse and repeat. It felt like I hadn't changed the weight, really. It just felt exactly the same. And the final week number 3 was probably, there was a lot about week number 3 that I thought was going to be tough. There was weights that I was going to be moving for rep ranges that I hadn't done before. And then there was weights that I'd moved for that reps, but for 1 set and 1 set alone. So it started off at 115 for 6 sets of 6. I wasn't all that worried about this session. I thought it would be tough because 110 was very tough for the 6s towards the end. But again, it just felt exactly like the 110. Sets early on, quite easy. Sets towards the end, a little bit tough. The second session was 122.5 for 7 sets of 5. This felt tough. It was probably one of the tougher ones of the week. It did feel harder than the previous week. We got through it all, but it did feel harder than the week before. The next session was probably a session out of all of them that I was kind of the most worried about. It was 8 sets of 4 at 130. I've never moved 130 for more than 3 reps. I've moved more than 130 for 3 reps, but I've never moved 130 for more than 3. So, and surprisingly enough, that session was probably one of the easiest of the week. It went really smoothly. It felt, if anything, it might have even felt better than the 125 from the week before. And then the final session of Smolov Jr. was 137.5 for 10 sets of 3. Now, I'd done 137.5 for 3 one time previously, and it was a huge grind, and quite frankly, it was probably to date one of the hardest sets I've ever done. So the prospect of having to do that 10 times back to back to back was quite intimidating. But surprisingly enough, this session, although towards the very end, it was very tough, but every set just kind of became very similar. Like we just grinded through it. And before I knew it, 10 sets were done. You'll see it all playing behind me again, but yeah, the 10 sets just felt not too bad. Just one, every set you'd done, there was one less to do. Once you pass 5, you're halfway, and every other set like that is a countdown to the end. And yeah, surprisingly, this week was not as bad as I'd originally thought. Right. So with all the sessions done now, the only thing to do now really is to retest my max and see where we've gone. This went very surprising. I was at the max of 147.5 at the start. There was none of the weights in there, especially the triples that I'd never done before. I'd done 137.5 for 3 before, which was the final weight. Granted, for one set at the end of kind of an escalating session, not for 10 sets, all on the same weight. So I kind of expected my max to have gone up. I'll be honest, I expected maybe 150, 152.5, something like that. I thought I'd have a marginal increase just from all the volume. When I tested my max, I was quite surprised. I'll play now a few of the ones towards the end for you, and you can get an idea of what they look. So here was 150. I'd done a few before this. I think I did 140, 145 before this. So 150 was a weight that I'd tried previously to start in this program and failed. I think I tried it twice and failed both times. And it went very easily this time, as you can see. I then moved into 155, which again moved very easily. And then here we go. We have a video of 160. This is actually the second time I did 160, because the first time I filmed it cut out. So I did 160 twice. And this was the final set I did. I had temptations to do more and try 165, but having done 160 twice and it being pretty tough both times, I decided to not opt for that. So, in summary, after 3 weeks on Smolov Jr., my max has gone from 147.5 to 160. So it's a 12.5 kilo gain, which is much more than I expected. Would I go straight into another cycle of Smolov Jr. right now? No. I think that volume, that push on the bench press immediately after having just done it would maybe be a little bit redundant. What I am tempted to do is apply it to one of the other lifts while doing something a little bit less intense on bench press for a few weeks, and cycle it throughout the lifts over the next few months, basically adding intensity to each of the 3 lifts individually rather than try to improve them all massively at one time. So yeah, I would highly recommend trying this. If you're looking to improve your bench press, I guarantee you will see results from this, provided that you're not already doing something very similar. And don't be scared when you see all the numbers that you're gonna have to hit, and some of them do look like I'm not sure I can do that. It just will happen. Like you'll get through it. If you have tried this program before, please do leave a comment in the below and let me know how you got on. And if you do try it, check back after you've done it and let me know how you got on. There's a lot of people that have negative to say about some of the Smolov programs. Obviously, Smolov Jr. is a little bit more manageable than Big Daddy Smolov, which is a lot of volume over a lot longer period of time. But Smolov Jr. doesn't get very much positive glow from what I've seen online either. So I personally highly rated it. It worked very well for me. I'm not going to bash it out back to back to back and beat a dead horse with it, but I think it'll be something that I will implement periodically for a bit of a boost. So yeah, if you made it this far, thanks for watching. It's always massively appreciated, and hopefully I'll be uploading a little bit more going forward, but this has been something I've been kind of focusing on for the last few weeks, and I wanted to get this all put together. So yeah, if you're still here, please drop a like on the video, and as always, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you in the next one.